go baseball. We can do it as long as my kids on the field. But I don't have any. I don't get enjoyment out of just here's what I'd probably take. Like you could probably say, Jeff, will you go with me? I would go to experience it with you and see it through your perspective. But I'm not going to do it every day. I'm not going to go. I'm not. We're not. We ain't joining a team, right? We ain't. But I enjoy that when people invite me to do those experiences. That makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely. Social events. I dig
Yeah.
that. Yeah, I'm definitely. I pay attention to sports for the social events for sure. Yeah, I'm definitely not into the game, if you will, right?
Yeah.
I am not a football fan at all.
Yeah.
And when I booked my first NFL commercial, I was like asking like, "Hey, where's this gonna be streaming at?" And the producers were like, "Well, you gotta go to a game, take out your phone, and record in the big screen." I'm like, "Oh, come on!" So I went to the game just for that. And I tell you, I learned all the basic rules for NFL, and I loved it.
That's
I
awesome.
loved it. Like the game, I didn't understand it. I didn't know like as far as like the yards, first, second, third, fourth
Yeah.
down. I didn't know anything,
Yeah,
and I learned right there, and I was like all into it. I was hyped up, and we won. So that was awesome.
what was
That's neat.
who?
It's neat because
It was the
I generally
Cowboys.
find
I don't remember who the Cowboys players
like
were.
growing up around racing is I grew up around racing and did a little did some go karting like dirt track when I was a kid type stuff. But I find myself explaining racing uh, 30 times more than my friends explain football because like most folks it's like cars going in a circle. Wait, I'm like, yeah, it's just not for me.
Yeah,
But so I have to explain, the just how what makes that competitive. But most of my friends are like they're football through and through. That's cool to hear that, Abe.
Yeah, yeah. NASCAR, I can't. I can't. When I was in the army. We went to like a color guard. We were
Yeah,
like the flags for the national anthem and all that.
yeah,
They were like, "You guys can stay," and I've never been to one of those events. I was like, "Hey, what the heck? I'll stay." And it was just I couldn't do it.
yeah.
Like after 10, maybe 15 laps, I was like, "All right, I'm done. That's it. I can't do that."
I did that. I did that
People
the
were popping
majority of
their
my life, man.
RVs. They're having barbecues, and they were staying there like if it was the last thing. I'm like, I can't do that now.
Yeah, that's interesting though. Hey, but I tell you what folks don't realize, we're just shooting a breeze here, but we're back live. We're back live with these two folks, man. We got Abe back with us. We got John back with us. Abe's over representing Latino Avenue. Got it
Sir,
behind him on the wall and got it on his shirt. So make sure you give him a check that out. I'm actually a follower. I'm a follower of the social media Latino Avenue brand, man.
thank you.
So but folks, make sure you join it. But here's the cool part is we had planned this, and if you tuned in a couple weeks ago, the three of us got together and we talked story, and we just kind of went through the grit that connected us and all the things that really put us together. What all more so of all of our little bit of our story and setbacks, and kind of what assembled us to be able to create these amazing conversations, but then carried on. So listen, folks, we were back and forth. These two dudes, they're actors and they're content creators. And they do some modeling and acting. And just for me, I'm like, all right, I enjoy the podcasting side of it or whatever. But I'm like, what does that take? And so we were kind of just going back and forth. And Abe brought it up. He was like, lights, camera, chemistry, and what it takes. Because we look at I think here's what I'd probably tell you, folks. I told y'all when I messaged you earlier, like I'm the guy outside of here. I don't when I see I get to click the TV on and I see the finished product. I see Abe Lopez on the commercial. I'm like, I know that guy inside the state. I know that guy.
I've
But
done that a couple times. I
What?
gotta
yeah,
say, I've done that a couple times. I've watched a couple different shows to be or they'll come out, but I've done that right there. Like I know him. That's my boy right there. So that's a
yes,
cool
right.
feeling. That's a cool feeling.
Yeah, and
Especially now that we do it.
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
now that we're actors, we're looking
yeah,
at the whole entire screen, like looking to see if we see a familiar face.
yeah. For real, it's
yeah.
cool.
Well, and you do. And for me, like I'm not big on starstruck, but when I have a connection and I feel like I know the person, like that's me celebrating. That's that guy is somebody that is I can pick a phone up, and call it. I can't do that with Vin Diesel. Right? I can't, you know, I mean, I can't do that with so I don't have this. I don't get like this starstruck of. I'm really excited that they made it and they get to work at the level that they do.
Right.
But I don't know them. But so when I see you, when I'm like, well, what does it take? And that's where you come up like the actor to actor support. And it got my curiosity going. I'm like, oh, this is good because I don't know. Um, I don't know what it looks like from y'all's side and what that actor to actor support looks like. But how do you, what are we going to teach me? You guys teach me a little bit about what it takes to kind of get in that business for people that are thinking about it as a career. But then what is that chemistry that helps because you guys it looks like y'all this connection of like, hey, let's see how far we can push each other.
Right.
And I read something the other day, and it made me think about you two. Yeah, Abe, and John, what's 1 + 1?
Trick, not two.
Right? It's our common answer. It's actually 11, right? Because you look at what you both bring to be able to multiply your momentum to go forward, and it was used in it's used in the context about your spouse. Like when you meet the perfect spouse, like 1 + 1, yeah, everybody's like, oh yeah, it equals 2. Like, no, 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 it equals 11. And it's they're bringing in their 10 other assets and you're bringing in yours and you're combining there with this thing. So that's what I saw when we was kind of back and forth on what we're doing, like how well you both complement each other and your efforts and what you're doing and stuff. What does that take on y'all's side though? I can see the finished product, get to hear the cool stories, but what does that look like?
Man, I mean, I would have to say it starts with dedication. If you don't, and that goes for any profession, you know. Um, Me, when I personally started acting, I didn't think I was going to get far at all, but it's just the consistency was always there. You know, I was always hungry to keep going to see how far I can reach. And as far as like how me and John we met when we first saw each other on set, I was never the type of person to always want the shine like only on me. I didn't want the attention to me only. If I get to a place, whether it's a movie set or a commercial or any kind of film festival, whatever, I always try to network with everybody. And if I see that the person is approachable, obviously I'm going to get the conversation going, and I see, if me and that person can connect any other way. And when me and John, we started talking on set, I knew right then and there, like, okay, John can do more. It's not just, here in a little short film or as a background or extra. Like, no, like you can see if somebody can be more, because talent cannot be bought. You can
Yeah.
An actor can be successful, but that success can be bought. But the talent, you can never purchase it. That's learned. And you can start off as a actor that doesn't really know how to act, but if you're consistent and you're always looking for to better yourself, I always tell young actors who are wanting to do it or starting to always work on their craft, to keep training, whether it's online, virtual classes, or in person, acting coaches, school. All of that is going to improve your craft, and that's what John is proving to the young actors as well. He's consistent. He's going to training right now. He's doing stunt training, something that I haven't even started doing myself. And that's how you grow in this industry. You once you just think that you're comfortable with what you're doing right now, which is, oh no, I'm okay with just background and extra. That's fine. There's actors that are comfortable at that level, but if you want to grow, you can't do it by just waiting for the opportunity. You have to be consistent. You have to reach. You have to dig more, and that's how you get to the level. By growing a little bit more. Every day you want to be more hungry. Every day you want to be able to get better. Not be at the same place where you were yesterday or last week. You want to every day improve a little bit more. You got anything? Go ahead.
Yeah. No, I love it. That was great. No, I mean, I definitely appreciate the kind words, but nah, he's 100%, man. You just gotta when you're wanting to pursue more, you just gotta continue to take action on that, and um, it takes being able to absorb other people's constructive criticism. It takes being able to want to learn from everybody, and then yeah, networking. I mean, like Abe said, we hit it off just out the gate, and man, it was just great conversation on top of being able to just kind of yeah, push each other kind of off out that first day. I mean, he automatically just started helping me here, do things this way, or you can kind of change this in every scene that we were doing, and it was just so cool to be able to listen to the knowledge that he had and implement it and apply it immediately. And just that the coaching that he was giving me was not. I want to always be in a position to where we're learning, but just in that acting realm, I was like he said, when you come in and you're not very good, because that's where I was. I didn't know what I was doing, and he was just able to just immediately give me some pointers that just helped not only help my performance, but help calm me down so I could perform. And that's a big deal because a lot of times we just kind of we get in our heads about a lot of things. And so just that communication that line that was opened up right there was huge. So man, the support right there, man, just from the jump is kind of I think where our friendship started. You know what I mean? Like you said, when you meet somebody, you know, like the friendship is there.
Absolutely.
That see that I want to. I got another question for myself, but here's what I want to point out a couple things for our audience. When you look at so when I'm teaching leadership or when I'm coaching business or what have you, is I'm always talking about being around the right people is what moves you forward. So doing that inspection of who your inner circle is and who's I tell people they're like, Jeff, I'm just feeling like I'm a little negative this week, and I go, well, you need to inspect who you let around you, because generally you're going to find if you're finding yourself in that negative path, you're probably circling around, or you got 4 or 5 people in your life that's supporting negativity, right?
Great.
So I heard iron sharpening iron, and that recognition of I've done it. Yeah, John, Abe, John, and I hit it off like what you're saying. I can totally understand where you're coming from, because like when we've never met in person. This is the extent of our things. But I was like, man, this dude is he's someone who's driven, who is you can just feel his energy through our conversations. And when you feel that, folks, it's like that's that moment for us. That's sometimes you're like, oh, wait a minute, I don't know about this person. You get that apprehension, like, yeah, I don't,
Mhm.
but when and Abe, I don't know if people like when you start meeting the right people, it flows with you, and you feel like you want to help them, and next thing you know, it's reciprocating. And that's
Yeah.
what I kind of picked up there, man. And I had the same experience as you did with John, Abe. And then next thing you know, here's what happens is and I'm with this like this with my friends. I'm not going to take I've made mistakes before and thought like, hey, this guy and this guy would get along. They end up not getting along because they're the same person, right?
Yeah.
So, but I'm also very guarded about who introduce to certain people, because I'm like, I just because they're driven, and I've had to educate people. They're like, every time I try to talk to a guy, he ain't got time for me, and I go, because you don't have any he don't have time to come and talk about if you want to engage him in conversations, you got to meet him up here. He's not interested
Mhm.
in right. But I said, if you'll just acknowledge that, it's like, hey man, I got some questions. I just don't know how to approach them.
Yeah.
Right? Be a little vulnerable with how you approach that situation. I got some questions, because high performers, man, they don't have a lot of just coaching high performers, working with they don't spend a lot of time in downtime and kicking the can. And when they woke up with focus, like on a set with you all. And it's cool I just want to point that out. So when people are evaluating, like, your network is your net worth, and your circle of influence is going to represent your good days and your bad days. And when you're having a bad day, that circle of influence is going to say, hey, John, you and Abe, y'all need to stop kicking the can down the road and get your butts in gear. We
Yeah.
got stuff to do, right? That's what we're looking for. So that I want to point that out for when you're looking for those folks that can drive you forward. But how did y'all get into acting? Where I'm from, There ain't a lot of casting calls around here. We have a theater, we have a theater, we have all the little things or what have you. But when you start talking about commercials and TV and some of those things, can you speak into that a little bit, just to letting everybody know, like, we ain't gotta get deep in the weeds, but hey, if you want to do this, I've told you what it looks like on the set, but this is how you can kind of segue into the industry.
Right, John.
Yeah. So real quick, you said something about high performers not having a lot of downtime, right? So if you don't mind, I want to kind of dive into
Yeah,
that for a
please.
second, because I think that there's a lot to that, and we can sum it up really quick. That's something I struggled with when I first got out of prison, is just not feeling like I didn't have a lot of downtime to either have fun, if you will, or just kind of spend time uh, enjoying myself, more so just head down, get to work, right? And I think there's a lot to that, but it goes back to balance, right? And to your point of meeting someone at their level for conversation, I think that's super important, because, like you said, if it's surface level, man, respectfully, like in certain circumstances, yeah, you feel like you don't have time for it, right? Like, I don't want to just sit around a campfire necessarily and just like not have a conversation on something that you don't feel is important. Like, unless we're sitting here trying to improve ourselves or talk about what we can do to move our life forward. Like, there's times like, man, I don't have time for that. Like, I want to make sure I'm constantly moving the needle forward. And there's, I think, a challenge to, okay, well, that sounds, selfish in ways, because that's part of having fun. Agreed. So I think there is a balance to making sure that, yeah, we're always putting our foot down and moving the needle forward, but still being able to balance out life. And you know what I mean? Because again, like you said, if it's
Yeah.
surface level, man, there's a lot of times, respectfully, I don't feel like I got time for that. Like, I want to make sure we're diving deep on a daily basis to move forward. So I thought that was cool that you said that, because I think there's a lot to unpack there. Yeah.
It's not that you're above anybody, John. Yeah,
Oh yeah, no, 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 no.
I don't want anybody to ever think that I'm better than them, and that's not my intentions. But you're only given so many hours.
And it's about
Man,
intention.
I
It's
flipped
about
half a century. I'm over halfway. Um, Man, I tell you what, hitting 50 was good though. I don't feel 50, right?
nah,
Because
you
you
look
just
it.
yeah,
You look
right.
it.
So I don't. Um, Thank you. I appreciate that. I got a face for radio. Um, but, but, like, but here's what I need you to do. If you want to work with me, I'm going to give you like some of my business coaching. I just need you taking action. I'll help you. Like,
Yes.
wherever you want to get to, I'll get you. I'll get you to where you things, but it's not.
It's a good way to
I've
put
heard a couple of people summit just how we spend our time is going back to watching sports. Here's a good one for you. Talking about racing.
it.
When you do on Martinsville Speedway is an hour from the house. All right. They run a 200 lap race on Friday. They run a like 300 lap race on Saturday and a 500 lap race on Sunday.
Great.
Me and my son, and he's been around, but so we do a lot of ball and all this other stuff, but we love doing that 200 lap race together because he and I'll go smell some race fuel, takes them 2 hours to run it. We set kind of say, we're right there side by side. We're just watching action. We've both been following for years. We know we keep up with it enough to what's going on. That's time with my son,
Right.
and then we're back in the car and we're home and I'm back with my wife and daughter. And it's not, if and I had told some friends, like, hey, we want to do this. If y'all want to do it, we can coordinate. But everybody's kind of in their own place.
Yeah.
But that's how I chose to spend that time. It's not that I don't when you're going to come down and plan out your day, you got to make sure you're planning it to where it's going to when you sit down at the end of your day and you go back and evaluate, like, what did I move the needle? Like,
Yeah.
the universe would be proud of me today for the
Yeah.
things that I've done.
Nice stuff.
Right.
Yeah. No,
That's a good.
yeah, I thought that was good. No, I really like how you said that for sure. That was deep. Yeah.
Yeah. That's and people get stuck on that. We all get so. But before I ramble anymore, hey, what's your? It sounded like was you acting before John came along, or was y'all kind of into business around the same time, or walk me through what it looked like for you, Abe?
When we first met, I think I was already close to my fourth year acting, right?
Yes.
Yeah, it was close to my fourth year. Um, and it's like our first episode that we had when I published my first novel. That was my motivation to get
Yeah.
in this business. I wrote that script and with the intention of making it one day, be on the big screen. And I thought to myself, like, yeah, like I could picture myself being one of these characters, and that's what kind of motivated me. So I was like, you know what, I'm gonna start researching. I'm gonna start looking up like what is it that it takes to be in the screen. And I started googling it, and I started researching it, looking at the casting calls, and educating myself because I had no idea like what it was and what it took. So I started, working as a background and extra. And for those that have no idea what we're talking about when it comes to like background and extra, you could be seeing a movie scene, and you could see people walking in the background, side, just one from one side to another, and those are considered background or extra character actors. And are they actors and actresses? Absolutely, 100%. They are actors and actresses. Just because they're background and extra doesn't mean that they are, like you said, below anybody else. They just start off as background and extra, and that's what I started as. And little by little, I started trying to dare myself, I would say, and saying like, you know what, I think I could probably submit for a character that has some kind of dialogue, or not just being a background and extra. So the first time I submitted for a supporting role, I got a callback, meaning that a callback is when they reach out to you after you submit an application or a casting, and they say, hey, we're interested in how, what you have to offer. So they send you some size for a character, and we want to see you submit a self tape audition. So that was going to be my first time submitting an audition with with a speaking role. And I submitted it. I did it. It was terrible because it was my first time. I had no idea what I was doing.
They're always fun.
It's fun, it's fun, but it was an experience that I'll never forget. And I was like, you know what? I think I did terrible. I submitted it, and a few weeks later, they said they want me.
Got the
Like
role.
they didn't offer me the role, but they were like, we want you to come and do an in-person
Okay.
audition. I was
Yes.
like, oh my god, in person. Like I had to retake. When you do a self-tape in your house with your phone, you're allowed to do as many bloopers as you want.
Yeah.
All you gotta do is, okay, stop. Let's redo this. You
I got
can't do
proof of
that.
it too. I got proof of it too.
It's the same
you,
thing.
you like, dang, shit just got real.
Exactly. Yeah. So when you're doing it in person, you can't. There's no room for bloopers. There's no room for
Yeah.
mistakes. And if you do, then you just, okay. Let's see if they can let me do it again. And 9 times out of 10, they'll be okay. Maybe one more time. But if you frequently doing mistakes in person, then okay, then maybe it's time for you to just turn around and walk away from that room. But I got there, and I did. If I think I did terrible with my phone, I did more terrible in person. And to tell you the truth, I don't know what happened. They still like me, and I
I can
think
see that.
I
I can
think
totally see.
my first time
I can
doing
see
it.
me like, hey, he'll be fine. He's makes me freaking funny
The
as
thing
crap.
that
He'll be
the
all right.
mindset of it, like the thing with us as actors, we're too hard on each
Yeah.
Yeah.
ourselves.
Yeah.
We think that we're doing it horrible. We think that we're doing it bad, and when somebody else is looking at you, they tell you the opposite.
Yep. Big fan.
And I didn't know that. So still to this day, I think I did bad and terrible, but somebody else, the casting director, whoever's going to be making the movie, they're not going to put their reputation on jeopardy and be like, yeah, let's go ahead and grab this guy because we don't got nobody else. No, that's their line that they're putting, to the test. They're not going to just cast anybody. So one thing is that how I saw myself on a self-tape audition, and then when you see the movie, it's totally different. So I was able to book the role, and I got to meet a lot of great actors, directors and producers, the whole crew. It was fabulous. It was amazing, and that got me to think I can keep doing this. I could do this as as a career. I'm not an actor as a hobby. I don't do this as a I don't just killing time. Like no no no. I started doing this to see how it would feel, and now I am a full time actor. Now I take this serious. I don't put this as a as people might think like, oh, that's just a side hustle or something to do just because, like, no no no, this is a career just like any other career.
Yes, and that's
And
huge.
it is. It
That's
is.
huge.
It's huge.
Because you hear a lot of people. I don't mean to cut you off.
No, no, go ahead, go ahead.
Because you hear a
No,
lot of people in this industry that they say they're doing it for a hobby, and they're in their background like, oh yeah, I'm just doing it for fun, or I'm retired and I'm just trying to kill that, and that's cool. Like we said earlier, if it
Right.
is just background, that's all you want to do. That is so cool, and I've
Yeah.
met so many cool people. But in my perspective, in my opinion, on these same people that I've talked to and met, you can tell they have a fire that they want more, but they're not willing to say it because they feel like that some people are going to take it some type of way, like, oh man, I really want to make it on the big screen. I want to do this, and this, and they feel like somebody's going to take that some type of way, so they're hindering their own growth by like, I'm settling for this. And again, I'm not saying that it's bad, but you can feel that from some people. And so just hearing him say how like this is my career, this is what I want out of this, and this is the path I want to take. That's huge, and I think that's why him and I know that's why Abe and I click and resonate so well together because we both have that same vision of yeah, my man, where we want to go. It's not just again, oh, this is cool, this is what I want to do. It's a hobby. Nah, we have a goal, we have a mission.
Right.
The Latina Avenue Wild Style Fit, like we have a goal, whether whether it meets the same, it's always going to intermingle, and we're always going to have that same vision and drive. And I think that was the understanding that we kind of had out the gate.
Right.
So what very well said. I
um,
like that.
Abe, I had a question, and I got something too, John. Hang on, but I want to ask Abe. Um, you just Googled you had your book. When it come to acting side, you weren't born into this. Nobody showed up and said, "Hey, uh, Mr. Lopez, you seem like a really funny guy. Will I put you on TV?" Like you, but your effort for this was going and just looking and finding and say going to casting or whatever, and just doing some schools or you did. It's not like you have this other than like your book. I don't want. I'm not trying to devalue all the hard work that you
Right.
put into this. Is my point. But when you started, it was not this huge undertaking. You just basically showed in the class or what have you.
I'm sorry, that last part cut off. Say that one more
What
time.
did your like? That's what I don't. Your process of getting into this wasn't complicated.
It was. It was. Absolutely. It wasn't an easy. I didn't have connections. I didn't have people to help me. I didn't have that. I
Yeah.
wasn't. I wasn't like you said. I didn't have a silver spoon. A lot of people
Yep.
are have that luxury, a blessing. That support where like they already in the game and they already have something set in stone. They're just bringing them in. And they don't have to start from from scratch, from the ground up.
But
I had
but your effort to get in there was not met with a lot of resistance. You just went and found the right place, the right class, the right room, the right people. Am I correct in following
And I
that?
think you're right, and I think that a lot of it has to do with what I said first, consistency.
Yeah.
If I wasn't, I've met a lot of actors and actresses that they see that I, let's say, book something, a book a role. There's an independent movie that they're shooting here in the Dallas Fort Worth area, and I post and I be like, hey, I got booked for this, or I tell some of my actor friends and actresses friends, I'm like, hey, I got booked, and a lot of them they're like, man, you need to hook us up with this. And they're the type that they're just like I said, they're just sitting there waiting for somebody to call them and say, hey, do you want this role? Like, no, that's not the way that I see it. If you want to be able to improve in this industry, you need to put in the work. You can't just sit there and expect somebody to call you and be like, hey, I want you for my next movie. What have you done? I ask you, like, what have you done for to be able to get to that level? And I'm not saying that I'm I'm up there, but I've been doing this for years, so I know. And thankfully, it's crazy because yesterday I got a text message from a director, and he just out of the blue, like I've never met him. I saw his Instagram profile, and he's been doing a lot of work, and he reached out to me. He's like, "Hey, Abe, I got this movie that I'm shooting in a couple months. It's a small role." He said, "It's a small role, but I think you'd be perfect for it." And I said, "Sir, there are no small roles in this industry, because I consider if you a background versus if you're a lead, you're still putting in the work. It doesn't matter. Yeah, the pay might be different. The work might be different, but we're all actors." And he was like, when I told him that, he was like, he said, "Hell yeah." To not put another word, he said, "Hell yeah, my man." And he offered me a role. He explained the details. He told me everything that I was going to include, and I was like, "Let's work. Let's work." Why? Because at least I'm putting the work, and people are seeing what I'm doing. I'm not just sitting down and expecting people to reach out to me. No, like I'm consistent. And that's what I tell a lot of the actors and everybody that I can come across to and tell them, you need to put in the work. We need to invest in ourselves. And that's like everything, every business. We have to put some kind of investment in ourselves. Yes, have
Yeah.
I put in some money to some subscriptions online to
Oh
be
yeah.
able to to see the casting calls? Absolutely.
Oh yeah.
For one casting?
Yeah.
No, multiple ones.
Yeah.
But that's the way that I'd be able to keep looking for jobs. Are there ways that you can find casting calls that are for free? Yes, but it's only going to get you to a certain point. You're not going to be able to expand at the level that you want to. So yes, I have invested in myself, whether it's social media, boosting my posts on
Yeah.
IG.
Yeah.
I've had to do that because unfortunately I have
Yeah.
learned that in this industry, you can knock out an audition and it can be great. And unfortunately, if you don't have a social media, they won't cast you. A lot of film directors don't
Wow.
cast you.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. I've seen a
Yeah.
little. I've seen a little bit of that.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
It's
Yeah.
and it's sad because a
Yeah.
lot of times they want to cast somebody that has a big audience on social media.
Yep.
Why? Because they think that that person is going to sell the movie more or advertise or market the movie more.
Yeah.
And they're choosing quantity over quality.
Yep.
And you know, is it the right way to cast a role for a movie? I don't think so. Like if I see somebody that has no social media or barely has any followers and they do an amazing job versus somebody that has 100,000 followers and their acting skills are not all that great, I'm gonna go with the first person. Why? Because I want quality. I don't care about the person has more followers. No, I want the person that's going to have that role to be the best
That's awesome.
versus
I
somebody
always
that
like to do engaged followers too, Abe. When you get into that, is I'm just helping guide business owners on marketing, and they'll be like, "Hey, I got this influencers, this, that, and the other, and they got 100,000 followers," and I go, some communities like I mentor out in a community of
yeah,
about 7,000 people, and I go, first off, that's a lot of people compared, but I said, give them screenshots you where they're from. When you do the people buy those followers, most of them from India, and there's accounts come up.
Oh
So
yeah.
you
Yeah.
look at when you
Yeah.
look
Yeah.
at paid. When you just hey look at tell me where all their because if you scroll down on that you can screenshot it if
right,
Bangladesh and India is your main followers, you ain't got 100,000 followers. You got 100,000 accounts, but you ain't nobody behind that.
Yeah.
Hey, that's really solid, dude. On your approach to that, and I really appreciate your insight, John. How did you? We jumped on the on kind of my iron sharper and iron, but you
Yep.
didn't walk me through how you got in that business. And then I wanted to tell you an observation I've found in this conversation between the three of us. Go ahead.
Yeah.
How did you get into the acting side?
Great question. And so, with the Wild Style Fit and just pursuing fitness and coaching, I kind of just I had an idea about modeling and just it would kind of help boost my business as far as just being able to get out there and just really promote myself and just the results that I've gotten and just put my story out there. And so I had a portfolio done. I had some really good feedback from the people who had my portfolio done. I got with a modeling consultant that kind of helped me point me in the right direction of a couple different casting websites that we were talking about. Um, I applied for those casting website. One was Backstage. That's how I got the job with Abe, and then that's kind of where it all started. To be honest, and I'd like to tell. I call him all the time, and we'll just chop it up about that because from that moment, I got that job. It was cool. We had a great time. I have multiple different reels from it because it was such a fun 3 hours, I think, right? And then he put me on to my casting file. That website is where I got a handful of different roles back to back. That's where Landman started pretty much, and then just got some good momentum for a good couple months, and then from there got on with Icon Studios, which is my current agent, and then just been really just doing applications, and then like he said, it's cool because we just do a ton of auditions. And going back to what he said, I have yet to do an in-person audition, so that's cool. I've done a lot of self tapes, and like he said, it's just one after another, and it's my awesome wife is like, all right, next, let's do it again. You know what I mean? So it's cool to have her support. She can really look at it. So but yeah, man, it was just it was a
You and you don't you didn't you post a reel of your funny outtakes on one
oh
of
yeah,
those?
oh yeah.
I remember it.
More
Yeah, I
to
thought
come.
you did. I
Yeah,
remember seeing it. And you're like, hey, it's a finished product, but then here you're like throwing your paper or something. I remember
yeah,
seeing you had
yeah.
posted something about this is behind the scenes of what that actually looks like.
Yeah, but it's cool to your point of just like people wanting to get involved with this. Like Abe said, this. I mean, we both take this very seriously. We're pursuing it more than just like a day job. It's definitely our career. But as far as just the background act, like it's almost like an Indeed website. There's multiple different websites, so you can tell people Google background acting, and if you're in the DFW area, it's actually pretty common because I've talked to multiple different people about the Landman one specifically. Like, oh yeah, I saw the ad on Facebook that they're looking for background actors, and so some people just get it through ads and stuff like that. But man, just if people are interested, Google it, do some research. You know what I mean? You'd be surprised how closer than to that type of industry than you would think. And then if you really want to dive into it, there's multiple different levels. I barely scratched the surface, all right. But with my man here, like we definitely are trying to make an impact with it all and just really move forward. We keep talking about just taking action and then finding our purpose. And I think it kind of all comes to that same thing. The more we get out there, the more we're able to share our stories, make an impact with other people, and then also pursue our dreams, man.
You started taking stunt training now, right?
Yes, sir. Yeah. So I did a couple stunt
Hey,
stunt class so far. Yes, sir.
yeah, tell us about that.
Man,
All right, so here's and real quick, John. Let me tell you what I found. Here's the commonality. We all share this affinity, and this is something I want to point out for our audience. Is we all share this affinity for what could be summed up as action and adrenaline. Abe got his through military. John got his through some negative behaviors. No, Jeff was a police officer with a whole lot of reckless behaviors, right? But here's what I heard when both of you are. I wrote this down. Here's what I feel like all of us have achieved on our quest of finding things. Because when you get to do military, you get to do police work, you get to do drugs, right? It's euphoric, right? It's when you get to do some of the stuff we've done, but it's pressure, and it's when you start talking about high performers, we enjoy the pressure of being a high performer. This is what I wrote down. This is where we're able to make this positive pressure. This is positive pressure in a sense of where we're in a controlled environment, but it's still very like when I do. I've told you guys like doing some speaking. When I go to teach or when I go to speak, like it is. I'm in San Antonio next week teaching, and it's a small group, but man, you think it was 30,000 people because I have just gone back and forth. Finally sent my stuff to my buddy today, and he's like, dude, you're good to go. Man, I love it. He's like, I'm excited to see you. So I was really, when I got his words of affirmation, I was like, it drove home like, all right, man, let's go. Now I'm going into kind of presentation mode to where I get to enjoy the pressure. And but leading up, and like you said, some of the outtakes, trying to do this, your screenings and your script readings that you do, that is it drives our adrenaline and our pressure, but it's positive. It's not. It's so. And when we try to get when I think what that does is it makes us uncomfortable, which we enjoy,
Yeah.
but it gives us an environment to where we can take some of those things that we would otherwise go out and act out negatively. I'm keen to that. um, but we're able to condense those into these controlled chaos environments of positivity. So you performing little things like that, things speaking in front of people, talking, acting in movies, right? So those are opportunities for us to find those positive pressures that make us uncomfortable, that ultimately lead to us finding that satisfaction. I don't know about you fellas, but I want to hear y'all's take on that because that's how I kind of saw it there.
I know, I love that. And so the way I put it is I used to grow up being the negative peer pressure. You know what I mean? Like that was a driving factor for me. And so from what I heard from what you said and something that I started saying a little bit a while ago is I want to be the positive peer pressure from now on. And so I
Yeah.
like how you said that because man, I feel that same way. Like we want to make sure we're always, being under the pressure to move better, but yeah, from a positive standpoint. So instead of being the negative peer pressure, the positive peer pressure. So love it.
Absolutely. Yeah. I think that
Yeah.
honestly, like the
Yeah. That's a
number one reason that I started
wait.
acting at all, like it was something because when I act, I want everybody to see me and be like, if Abe can do it, I can do it.
Yes.
And it's not
Yeah.
like, oh, I'm better than Abe. It's just that if he was able to achieve this, I was always thinking of it, but now that he's done it, he's given me like a little push, a little motivation to do it. Like that was the first reason that I wanted to write my book. I wanted to make a change on people's lives, especially if they were going through the same thing. So the same thing goes with acting. If somebody's out there and they be like, man, I want to be able to do this sometime, or who knows, I have I want to, but I kind of like don't dare to. So I want people to see me and be like, thank you, Abe. Now I'm able to do it. Now and there's going to be a lot of people that are going to hate on you. Especially people that they see you book a role, they see you on the screen, they were like, oh, that's cute, oh, that's cool. They think that it's easy. And honestly, acting is not easy. This is not for everybody,
No.
and it gets to a point where those supporters become your, how you call it, your haters, I guess I would say. And me personally, I use that as a motivation, because I want to prove to them that I'm going to keep doing this. I'm not just gonna stop just because you don't like me or because you think that I'm better than you. I'm not. I'm not trying to be better than anybody. I'm trying to be better than myself. I want to be a better version than what I was yesterday. And every day I have a reason.
Every day.
Every day, I'm trying to be better as a father to my kids. As an actor, I'm trying to be a better actor. That way, I can be able to improve because it's like what I said. You want to improve on your craft. You want to do better. My acting coach is like what we have said. We need to get comfortable being uncomfortable.
100%.
And that's what, like you, Jeff, you were saying it. And once we get to that point,
Yeah.
we can be able to achieve anything we want. You say, like you said yourself, in your hometown, there's a theater. There's not a lot of acting movement going on. I take off my hat to actors that do theater and have theater experience,
Yeah.
because some of the greatest actors and actresses started with theater.
That's huge.
And people that dominate theater is like what we said. There's no room for bloopers. There's no room for mistakes. They're up there on the stage,
No.
20, 30, 45 minutes in a row, and they're rocking their character. So when they get behind the screen, that's a cake, cakewalk for them. And some of the greatest actors
To
have.
speak to that, hey, my daughter's talking trash. My daughter's good. It's like she's athletic. But she's always. I put my kids in a situation where they got to back up what they talking. I just think there's something to be
Yeah.
said for that. So when she starts talking about how that acting is easy or the school play or whatever, um, and we had this thing where and I'm friends with her principal at her middle school, but like I imitate him when he does morning announcements, right? I'm like, hey, this is what, and it does his voice. I'll imitate him, but then I have sponsors, right? I'll be like, this segment's brought to you by Budweiser, and I'll just, come in and like so she was like making fun of him. I kind of told him, I was like, hey, put Karis on the morning announcements. Let her do them. It freaked her out, y'all. Like when she actually I said, "Hey, you're doing the morning announcements Friday." She said, "No, I ain't." I go, "Yeah, but I lined it up." And she had to go in and grab. Nobody's in there, and he started this rotation for the kids. She did it, and just because her friends were like, "Heard you on the announcements." Oh, great, and tried to poke at her a little bit. Man, it actually because it helps her get because when you're going to go do big things, you got to get used to having haters.
Oh,
Oh
When
yeah.
yeah.
you're she's going. My kids, if and I've told them like when you get to a certain level in college where it becomes competitive, you're gonna have hecklers, and we have that a little bit sometimes in our lower levels, but to speak to what you said, Abe, on the hater side was I had posted some content, just motivational, one of my reels, like, hey, and this guy commented, oh, here we go again. Another guy who's been set back on his life. He wants to come in and help the world. And before I could get to respond, he deleted the comment. But here's the part. He didn't follow me. And here's what I thought. And I don't remember the account name, and I hope you're listening, dude, because there's a reason why my content showed up on your feed,
Yeah.
right? You
Yeah.
don't follow me. There's a reason. Your life is in such shambles that it recommended old Jeffro to come in and drop a little
Yeah.
positivity in your lap, right? And you chose to come back at it with a little hate, and you don't follow it. Hey, I'm not the one that suggested. The
Yeah.
universe and Instagram and the algorithm
True.
did because you need a little positivity in your life. So when you get haters like that, sometimes I always say, hey, if you're getting haters, that means you're getting reach from the people who need to see you and hear you. You're getting that, but that hater's one that takes time. He's not a high performer. She's not a high performer. They're the one that takes time to comment on how your life should be more like theirs. And our
Absolutely.
job as coaches and good people is to try to help elevate them to new heights. And I think when you spoke, that's what kind of come out in my head was thinking about that guy. But when you say haters and just listen to how genuine both of you are, and how we're all enjoy just spreading our craft. And what we learn is it's not for everyone. And you can listen. There's a button on there where you can hit mute, and you can mute old Jeff anytime you want to if you don't like what I'm saying. But I'll leave it out there for the folks that want to hear it.
Yes,
True.
sir. Yeah. Great.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah, right on the spot. You're gonna have a lot of people that don't support you, but they're gonna keep track of what you're doing.
Yes.
They wanna see what is your
Yeah.
next move, and they're gonna be like, oh, like you said, that guy's gonna be like, oh, here we go again. But he's looking for something. He wants to know what is it that you're going to, and what is it that you have to offer. But at the same time, it's like, man, like, is it jealousy? Is it, or is it
Yeah.
just you're hating? But yeah, I mean, it's for any industry. If you get promoted, if you get a
Yeah.
higher level, it's because you're doing something right. You're not just sitting on your butt waiting for that opportunity. You keep working, and the people that are behind you on the sidelines, looking at you work, looking at you get promoted, they're the ones that are like, oh, why he get promoted or why she get promoted? Because they're putting in the work. And for actors and actresses, we put in the work and we get roles. We book different roles, and then you see other actors be like, oh, how is it that he's getting it? He's not even all that great actor, or he's not even such a good actor, but I'm putting in the work, and if you put in the work,
Yeah.
you're gonna see your reward.
To take a spin
I
off.
think you teed us up. I got to wrap.
Yeah.
Go
Yeah.
ahead. No, John, go ahead. I don't want to take. Yeah, go ahead. Take a few minutes.
No, I was gonna say, I know you got to wrap. I know you got to go pick up kiddo. So with that, just the whole once actor supporting actor, just individually supporting people. Once you start supporting other people and celebrating their wins, watch how much it changes your life. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
just like what he said, once you start supporting other people instead of hating on people. Once you go to someone's Instagram or social media and be like, hey, good job. Just do that. Try that once instead of going and leaving
Yep.
some negative hate. Watch how much that changes your life.
That's amazing.
Yeah, you'd be surprised hey man, thank you for sharing this. And even if you don't watch all of it, a little bit of just and I've done all right, so two things I want to tell you. Another hack on this, folks, is I'll leave. You go to gym with boards. Like I used to work out at a gym where we had boards where you could write your work on, like there's grease boards, right? We grab a marker and you write your work. So we have a stack of those. I would write a positive message on about the fifth one down. I'd write mine off, put it in, and be like, hey, I'm pulling for you today. So whoever, when they flip that over, they would see that message. That's another one that's leaving little messages like that. What I'd like to tee up for our next, maybe start off our next conversation when we get back together, is I'd like to go through y'all's routine. And maybe we can just separate that out when we talk about, hey, you got to put in the work. You got to put in work. Well, that's easy to say. And for me, putting in the work might be me eating a bag of Cheetos and drinking drinking Dr. Peppers. And we need to define and I think our job as coaches and role models is to be able to define what putting in the work looks like in y'all's industry. So next time we get together, I'd like to spend a few minutes just talking about maybe what that daily, weekly routine looks like to just to help keep the conversation going, fellas. Because I don't know about y'all, but I absolutely enjoy getting together with you two knuckleheads
Yeah.
and spending some time talking with y'all and just learning, getting to know y'all live on YouTube and social media and all the things that we do with this. But this is folks. This is three guys sharing us kind of getting to know each other for the world to hear of what it takes to just make your way through it because it's acting and it's not an industry that I'm surrounded by friends in except you two. And I think that's the cool part is we're able to educate and help kind of guide folks through just the coolness of what you all are doing on the platforms that we're allowed to use. So
Yeah. Well, no, we appreciate your time for real. It's always good to chop it up with you. Love the conversation, man. Like I look forward to these days.
I appreciate it, John.
Yeah.
Man. And
yeah, me
thank you,
too.
John, that he actually
Yeah, no,
made
yeah,
the connection as well.
yeah,
It's awesome.
yeah, no, I would. I absolutely have been excited to the point to where Abe, just so you know, me and John snuck on last Wednesday because you couldn't make it. We snuck on just shoot the breeze and catch up a little bit. So it was so I definitely get excited. Hopefully we can jump back on around the same bat time, same bat channel. My schedule in the evenings is going afternoons is going to be changing a little bit because I won't have to do pickup because sports will
Okay.
pick back up in a few days and after this little break, so it'll he'll be in after school practice, so we'll
Okay.
be able to run a little bit longer. But folks, make sure you share this episode for just people that are struggling in life, that are looking for some direction and looking for something to help them become uncomfortable and find what I wrote down here is positive pressures and get into groups and rooms of high performers and folks that have high standards and they're looking to move that needle. And I think when you look at our backgrounds, the room that you two found, absolutely, me speaking and teaching, it's uncomfortable, and it brings out those endorphins that we enjoy celebrate negatively, fellas. It brings out those in a positive manner. Man, I really appreciate the way y'all shared this stuff. Thank you.
Yeah. Nah,
Thank
man. It's
you.
always a good time.
Yes, sir. I mean, one last tip that I can give anybody that's thinking about, getting in this industry is to not quit.
Oh man.
Don't quit. As much as, as hard as you see it, once you quit, that person that's lined up right behind you is going to get the shot.
Yep.
So don't think that
Yeah.
you can't. Don't be too hard on yourself. Be consistent, stay hungry, and you'll reach
Yeah. Very well said. Mic drop.
it.
Yeah, mic drop. All right. Thanks for tuning in, everyone.